Hey guys!
Hi!
We're just getting ready for our first wedding of this wedding season and what will actually be my first ever wedding I've been to. But we're going to be showing you a video today on the budget for our wedding and have we blown the budget. So after we go to this wedding today, we'll record that video and make sure you stick around to find out about our wedding budget. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and we're doing another update. As we've just said in that intro, it's the cost of a wedding part 3, but as you're probably going to see, there's a guest on here, my beautiful fiance Ashton.
Hi!
So today we're going to be talking about where our budget's at. Have we blown the budget? The big question, we're 3 months out from the wedding, 3 months today as of filming, I believe, and we're going to see whether we've blown the budget. We're going to talk about some of the things that we think we could cost save on the wedding, and maybe some of the areas where you really don't want to cut the corners, but obviously we haven't actually had the wedding yet, so we don't really know how that's all going to work. Now, do you remember what our initial budget was?
Yes, I think it was about 30 grand, so fingers crossed we're going good on track.
So what we'll do is jump through line by line of different categories. We'll see where they end up, and then we'll show you where we've actually ended up at the end. So we'll start with the venue and the hire, which the hardest part about that has been trying to estimate how many guests we're going to have.
Yeah, definitely been a struggle. I think, as you know, Ethan announced in one of the first videos he made, we're playing an interstate wedding. So for us, that's definitely been the biggest struggle with the pandemic and everything that's going on, is knowing, are we going to have, under 50 guests? Or are we going to have the max that we invited, which I think was about 75 in the end.
So with our budget, we've gone with 60 guests. And then obviously the way we've worked it out, as you'll see here, is we've done it on a per head basis. So to say we're over or under budget with this is really hard to tell because it'll depend on how many guests. So we've budgeted on 60, expecting that range of 50 to 75, but that'll obviously just depending on final guest numbers. So the next one is hair and makeup, which I won't talk about.
Yeah, so hair and makeup, I think I'm doing quite well at the moment with the budget. What are we, 1635? Yeah, that's the total. So that's for the bride, 4 bridesmaids, 2 flower girls, mother of the bride and mother of the groom. When you break that down by the total number of people that, the makeup artist is actually servicing, I think that's pretty decent. I don't know, to be honest.
I'm not sure about that, but
I'm not sure what the average cost is. I'm also trying not to compare South Australia and the Gold Coast, because I do think there is still that slight variation. So, there might be some South Australians that think that's really expensive, whereas there's probably some people that are on the Gold Coast that think that's really decent. But I don't know, I did my trial when we were there in July, I think. Yeah, July. And I really liked it. I really like my makeup artist. And I think when you're planning a wedding as the bride, you've got to be really comfortable with your providers. Make sure that, you gel, that you're on the morning, it's going to run smoothly. They'll be able to calm your nerves. So, yeah, I think I chose well with that.
So now to one of the most important categories, the cake, the food. So we had a cake budget. I think we were initially thinking between 500 and 1,000. It was a bit hard to go. At this stage, we've got a price here written of $728, but I do believe we get a deposit back.
$200 we get back. That's for the hire of the cake stand.
So what we're actually doing is having a small cake on top and then cupcakes, I believe, around the rest. So we got to go to a lovely cake tasting back when we did go, which now I am remembering I think was in June. And there was lots of different flavours that we really liked. So we've narrowed that down. We won't spoil that. We've got a couple of different flavours, and then we've got the top cake that will be in gluten-free. So we're kind of catering to all our guests that might have food allergies. And yeah, we're really excited about how that turns out because we think it's going to taste really good. So the next thing we'll discuss is the decorations and floral. Definitely out of my specialty, so I'll hand that one over.
Yeah. So our decorations and floral, it's a bit hard when you first look at our spreadsheet as to how much it's costing, because some of the cost is included in our overall venue cost. So that's including the cost of pretty much the reception, so the table settings, all that kind of stuff. So it's really mainly just the ceremony, because our ceremony is at a separate location to our reception. Probably, I'm going to say, really did not estimate this well at all.
Yeah, when we got our first quote, it's really hard to have an estimate because you're not involved in the hire out of things. So when we seen some of the costs on the initial quote, I think one was $60 or $70 for the hire of a chair, which, you know, I really found hard to understand how someone can possibly charge that.
Yeah.
So what was our initial budget?
I think we initially budgeted $2,500. So that was to cover, you know, ceremony, any, I guess, we had to pay extra for like people's names on the tables and like your seating chart at it. So I think we said $2,500 was what we were expecting.
And we ended up at, our quote was 4,000. So, and that was after bringing it down. So we cut a few things out. So definitely blowing the budget in that area.
Yeah,
So.
I think you'll find when you do plan it, definitely leave extra money for florals. Like out of all of it, the florals are so expensive. I think my initial bouquet, the quote came back at $550, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm paying that for my bouquet. So I think mine's $350, or my bridesmaids are, I think, $170 to $180 each, and then my flower, I guess junior bridesmaids, flower girls have little flower girl hoops. But that was taking it down. So our initial, I don't even remember the first quote we got.
It was expensive.
It was so expensive. We were like, no, I straight away was like, what can we cut out of here? So originally, you know, I was going to have a flower crown. My bridesmaids were going to have all flower combs. So, I mean, I think when you do plan a wedding, you've kind of got to be open to compromise. Yes, it's your most amazing day, but do you really need to spend like $60 on like a little hair clip that no one's really going to pay that much notice to? Or would you rather spend extra, I don't know, on the food that you're going to serve that the guests are going to enjoy? So I think it's really about weighing up, you know, what's more important to you.
Now, definitely a subject that's close to my heart, photography and videography. So we had a few different varying quotes on this. It seems like a really high expense when you first look at the dollars. But now I suppose for me, being involved in videography with my YouTube channel, I understand the work that goes into the editing, the time to record, getting all these things right, the equipment costs. It does really all add up. So we did look at a few different vendors. I think the quotes varied from between $5,000 and $8,000. We've actually gone with one that was a little bit on the lower scale, $5,300, purely because we were really impressed by their customer service, which I think is really important when it comes to photography and videography, because we want to go, we want these shots, or we want this angle, etc. So they're really being great to communicate with, and we really enjoy and have looked at their photos, their videos, and we really think the quality matches what we're looking for, the style. So we're really happy with that. It'll be really interesting from my point of view to see how it all turns out, because I'm sure they'll be much better than I am. The next area is dresses and suits. This one's been really hard for us to track because there's so many bits and pieces that go into it. So we've got, I'll just cover with my side, we've got obviously suits. We're paying for the suits for the other groomsmen, but then we've got things like belts and shoes that we're still weighing up who's paying for those, ties, and then it's been a little bit hard for us to track that through. The dresses, I think, have been a bit simpler.
Yeah, I think definitely something that you need to decide when you first start to plan a wedding between, you know, yourselves before asking anyone to be a part of the bridal party is, are you paying for, you know, the stuff they're needing on the day, or, you know, are you going to make them? And then I think you really need to be upfront with people. I've heard horror stories where, you know, the bride and groom ask someone to be in their bridal party, they say yes, and then, you know, 6 months down the track, turn around and say, okay, well, you now need to pay for this and this and this, you know. That's something we really didn't want to do to our loved ones. So we decided we'd pay for the main things they need on the day. So in, like, the ladies, I guess, department, it's their dresses, their hair, their makeup, their shoes, their jewellery. And then I said, you know, they will be covering spray cans and nails if they want to get that done. I think that's where, you know, guys were similar. We covered the suits, and they, at this point, are going to be covering the belts and shoes. And I know, I think we did pretty good, like, estimating wise.
Yeah, I think our budget for the other people in the wedding party ended up coming out. I think the suits were a little bit more expensive, but the dresses were a bit less. But then my suit ended up being a little bit less than what I was expecting.
Let's talk about how expensive his tie was, you know. He likes to say that women spend a lot, but, love, do you remember how much that was?
I think we read the sign wrong. I believe it cost us $80 or $90 for the tie.
Yeah, I remember. Like, that's more than what my bridesmaids dresses are. So I think I did pretty good with them. You know, I just got them off Showpo design that I like. I think they were $79 each, and then his tie is going to be...
How about the cost of your dress?
Yeah, we don't need to
How do we go on the budget of that?
We don't need to talk about that.
No, come on, that's what the people want to know.
I think I did alright from memory. How much? I think my dress was $2,000, and I think about $2,000 all up. So I was one that was like, I'm never going to spend over $3,000 or $4,000. I probably, in reality, I would have liked to spend one, but I mean, I'm gonna get sappy, but I think like when you go into a wedding store and you pick out your dress, I think you just know when it's the one. So, I mean, I spent a bit more on it, but it's gonna make me feel beautiful on the day, and it's what I wanted. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. I think dresses and suits, we've done pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. The next part is the Celebrant. So we were really unsure about what to budget for this because we didn't know whether there was even cost to getting married or whether there was going to be then higher fees from them for PA systems, etc. Whether we're going to have to pay travel and stuff. So we found something that we think will really fit in with us, make the day really fun because we want it to be an enjoyable ceremony. We don't want it to just be like everyone else's. We want it to be unique and towards us. We don't want it to be a cookie cutter one. We want it to be really suited to us. And the price we ended up getting was $850. We don't really know if that was a great price or not, but we're happy we've got the perfect person for it and we're really excited to share the day with them.
Yeah. I definitely agree with what Ethan said. The Celebrant we found, he really meshed with what we like. On top of that, he likes to bring a bit of fun into the ceremony.
Yeah.
He's listed games we can play at the beginning, things to keep the guests entertained while they wait for everyone to arrive. And it was really appealing. And I think it's funny when you actually look at the cost of a wedding. The Celebrant is probably the cheapest part. They're the most important part. They're the ones that marry you off, and then they're the cheapest.
All right, the next one is the rings. So this is one that we definitely did come in under budget. So I think we started with $1,000 budget, and where did we end up?
About $760, I think. So yeah, I was definitely happy with that. You chose to just get a titanium ring instead of anything super fancy.
Yeah.
And even mine, I'm not a very flashy person, so it's quite a simple, I guess, wedding style band, but I think it represents us. And yeah, I mean, we save money as well. I mean, you originally tried on a ring that we thought was the one you'd get. We thought it was titanium. And then the lady went to process it. I think it was like $2,000. It was like
way more than I'd ever spent on a ring.
I mean, I'd already picked mine out, and mine was only $500. So I was like, well, there's no way he's getting a $2,000 ring if mine's $500.
No, so that was definitely an error. We're pretty happy with how we ended up. So that was a lot of the main categories. As you can see, there's a few other bits and pieces. We had things like invites. We did some bridesmaid boxes to give to the bridesmaids, etc. And then there is still a range of things that we've still got to organise. So I'll run through some of them here. So we've got things such as the cars to and from the wedding, the music of the wedding. I believe you're looking at a painter. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, I don't know. You've probably seen like the TikTok craze where, people get live painters to weddings. And I really like the idea. I mean, I know Ethan's a bit on, but already paying so much for photos and being, I guess, a camera person, you're more into, I guess, that side of it. Whereas I probably like the idea of having a custom painting we can pass down for generations. So we're still looking at that because I think that will add an extra, I think, $1,000 onto the total wedding cost, the quote I got. So I guess it's probably just really looking at what we're going to do.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a matter of trying to make sure we've got all the things ticked off the list so we can come to a final budget that won't move too much. So did we blow the budget? Well, our initial estimate here was about $30,000, and with all of this, we're sitting at about $33,500, so about 10% over. But to be honest, I think that's pretty good considering we're going interstate. Some of that's a bit up in the air with guest numbers, etc. But we're not too concerned about that. We saved the extra. We've actually saved way more than that. We've been able to put a lot away over the last 6 to 12 months to make sure we were covered, and therefore we could add in those things that we're a bit unsure about. We wanted to make sure we ticked them off and had it how we wanted it. So I know something that people obviously want to know is, well, how can you save money on a wedding? Obviously, I talk about finance in this channel all the time, talk about money. So what are some ways you think you could reduce the cost of a wedding?
Yeah, my first one would be, I guess, hiring a wedding planner. I think if you're having a really big wedding, if you're having over 100 people, I think, get one then, make sure you put that in your budget. But for us, because we've just got such like a small group of intimate people and we both love organising and planning things, you love your budgets, I love getting to plan. So for us, we were like, we don't want to spend extra money on that. Another way I think is your bridal party, the size of your bridal party, we don't have a massive bridal party, but we still have a decent size. We've got 4 people each, plus ourselves, plus 2 junior bridesmaids. So that cost definitely adds up. I'd probably think about, do you want to cut that back and have maybe just a maid of honor and a bridesmaid, 2 people? That would definitely cut back a lot of the costs. I think you don't realise, you have to buy that many suits, that many dresses, and it all definitely adds up in the end.
I think that leads right into people. How many people do you actually have, especially when you're paying a cost per head? So ours will be a sit-down meal. and I believe the cost is $180 per head. So the more people you have, it does quickly add up. And at the end of the day, you want to share this with your friends and family, those that are most important to us. Do you really want to invite someone that you worked with 10 years ago that you haven't spoken to since? I think you really need to really consider that guest list. And it's not to say don't invite people, but really want to make sure you're sharing it with your close people, and therefore your budget allows you to do other things rather than paying $200 for someone for a meal that you wouldn't even shout a coffee normally.
Something else I'd say is the small things that, don't actually add a big deal to the wedding day, like your invites. When I was ordering our wedding invites, I found some where, they were beautiful, but you're paying up to $600 for invites. So, pieces of paper that, to be honest, half the people that go to your wedding, probably 3/4, are just going to chuck in the bin after that date.
Another question we're getting asked a lot, obviously, is why did you choose an interstate wedding? Are all your guests from the Gold Coast? Do you have family on the Gold Coast? Why? You let them know why.
We just love the Gold Coast. So no ties there whatsoever. We have no family. I did start a new job, and so now I do have a few work colleagues in the Gold Coast that are coming. But when we originally started planning our wedding, there was none up there that we knew. So we just love the Gold Coast. We love the beach. We love the sun. Also we get asked, why are you planning a wedding in January? Well, it's kind of got, I guess, two answers. The first is we have a lot of teachers in our family.
Yeah.
So we have to, pick a time when they are able to come up, and unfortunately that's only school holidays. And then the second is we just love the heat. We'd rather get married on a 35-degree day on the Gold Coast sun on a beach rather than, somewhere in SA where it's a bit cold and raining and, yeah, I don't know.
It's just something unique to us, and we felt like it suited us well.
We got engaged there.
Yeah, and at the same time we understood that if people couldn't make it due to the cost and stuff, we never would hold that against anyone. So I think a lot of our family and friends understood that, and we have some people that won't be able to be there. But it's been really good to be able to share something, and a lot of our friends and family will be taking family holidays and going up there with their partners and have never travelled before. So that's really exciting that we can bring joy beyond just the actual wedding to others.
It's like, I guess, a whole celebration, not just a day. Ours are going to be scattered across multiple. We're not going to run straight off to our honeymoon. The next 2 days later, we're going to get to enjoy that time with our family, and family is the most important thing to us. So to us, that was a big part of it.
Well, we hope that's been interesting, especially to our family and friends that are coming to the wedding. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you're excited for the big day. What we will do is we'll continue to do some of these videos as it leads up, when it gets a bit closer and we lock in a few of those final things. But if there is anything you want us to cover when it comes to the cost of a wedding or just planning a wedding in general, then make sure that you do leave a comment down below, because that'll be great, because we can cover that in the next video. I want to thank Ashton for making her first appearance on the channel, the first guest on the channel, so how exciting. If you want to see her back again, make sure you leave a comment down below, because I definitely want to have more guests, so what better guests to start with?
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone that watches and supports Ethan's channel. Like and subscribe. That's the best way to support him. But thank you all.
Thanks everyone. We'll see you on the next video.